Hey, everybody, this is David Skarika here. Hope you're all doing well. So today we're gonna have a little different thing. I'm gonna give you, I guess, a little teaser here. So our portfolio is doing, I know the market's been up a lot, so that's part of it. I'm not, as I say, you don't mix up a bull market with brains. But what I did a few months ago is I started doing these value stocks with high dividends, that sort of thing. And a couple of them have done really well. One's up about 10% and it pays a 6% dividend. And this is just in like about a month. And the other one is up about 18% and pays a 9% dividend. This is about 4 or 5 months. So these are the type of things we've been doing. But I also really like this small cap company. And I've talked about it in the past. Many of you will know it who've been watching this service for a while. I've been in and out of it. I made money in it last year. I got stopped out earlier this year because they had some news. It wasn't even bad company news, like personal news. It was bad containing to this, to some other things. So, um, so it's called Fubo. It's a streaming service. And look at Peter Lynch used to talk about how if you really like something, you should just buy it because you like the product. He used to call it the store thing too. So let's say, I don't know, this is going back to the 80s. Let's say you use the Sears catalog, which was the Amazon of the time, and you love the Sears catalog, you like the stuff that was in it. And then you go to a Sears store and there's tons of people in there. Like that's like you should buy the stock. Or if you like Starbucks coffee and every time you go into Starbucks it's full, or Apple was classic of that, is that everyone uses Apple products. Even though I don't have an iPhone, I do have a MacBook Pro and an iMac and an iPad. And you go to an Apple store, 10, 15 years ago, and probably today, I haven't been in one in a while, but they're probably packed, so that's what you talk about. So I use the Fubo service. I renewed it. I shut it off for a month or two because I only am a fan of soccer and I'm only a fan of NFL football. I'm not really a fan of baseball, basketball, all the other sports. Look, if you follow all these sports, you have no life. So, you know, and then and also it kind of gives me time off in the summer because even when you have the European Cup and Copa America on and these kind of things in the summer, or World Cup, first of all, it's only every second summer. And then second of all, that ends mid-July. So then you got like a month off not to watch sports or whatever till the NFL preseason starts. But anyhow, I think so. Basically, what happened, I'll tell you what's happening with Fubo. So Fubo, so first of all, that means I like the product. I have to notice, actually, I noticed streaming it now. I first started streaming Fubo in 2018, because of the Bahamas and where I live in the Bahamas, I don't have access to cable. So I have to use streaming services, and Fubo kind of is its expertise in sport. And the stream was pretty bad back then, but now I noticed it was really fast. I barely had any problems with it. It was really smooth. It's very easy to use service, et cetera, et cetera. So very impressed with it. So I like the product, and that's part of it. And I think it's pretty good value. When I renewed it, I got a discounted rate of like $30 a month, but my regular rate's like 90. And anyhow, so for years, what Fubo has kind of been like, you can watch Premier League, you can watch Copa America, you can watch European Cup, you can watch World Cup on us, right? That's and other sports as well. And they've tried to do sports packages, but the big boys, ESPN, Fox, etc., have always rejected that. So what they want to do essentially for someone like me who's really only watching sports on Fubo, they want to be like, hey, you can get a package for $50, $60 a month instead of whatever your $90 or $100 package, and just watch sports, because they have to include all this other stuff with it. And that they require them to do that. Like Fox, for example, would require Fubo not only to carry Fox Sports or Fox Sports Net One or Fox Sports, but also like Fox Business, Fox, regular Fox, etc. So the Fubo has to add those as part of the package. And of course, they have to charge more money when they have more channels, etc., etc. So then these companies all turned around, ESPN, Disney, etc., and said, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to offer they call it a skinny package, because a skinny means, again, it's smaller, right? It's just sports. We're going to offer our own sports only package. And Fubo's like, what the hell? We've been trying to do that for years and you wouldn't allow us. And also you charge us all these extra fees to show your stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And then basically they won't allow Fubo to carry the skinny package. So they're doing an antitrust thing saying that, we'll read it right here. This is pre the first hearing. Fubo saying it will control 54% of sports rights, and and look, they're all getting together: Disney, ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers. If this isn't a monopoly or antitrust classic case, I don't know what is. They didn't allow JetBlue and Spirit, the eighth and ninth largest carriers, the United States, join for antitrust purposes. Well, like this is like the big boys of broadcasting joining, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to charge a really cheap fee at first, kind of like Sunday Ticket. I used to get Sunday Ticket for like $150, $200 a year. Now it's $400, $500 a year, and then they're gonna like up the price as they squeeze out the competition, and etc. So yeah, so it's basically, and they're using Discovery and Hulu. And by the way, Fubo's also got DirecTV and Dish Network in their corner on this, because again, they won't allow those companies to offer the same thing as well. So I don't care if they want to do this, but I think they have to allow all platforms to offer it, right? You know, so and then also too, like yeah, that they're going to do, they're going to try to squeeze everybody out. You know, so anyhow, and this is why we have this sort of thing, because yeah, I'm a free market guy, but yeah, these companies they're not the nicest people in the world, let's say, right? They're not angels. And this is what they want to do. They want to take over everything, and then they want to rip us off. So NFL lost this jury thing that said that Sunday Ticket, yeah, 4.8 billion. So yeah. So and so the NFL could be liable for up to 14 billion right here, right? So 14. So basically, what they said was same thing. The NFL is using Sunday Ticket. It's a monopoly. Like right now, I think YouTube TV carries it. It used to be DirecTV, and then they can charge one price, and they bid the NFL for that. And what they're saying is, yeah, you're overcharging customers, and yeah, they kind of have to go to one place to get it, right? So, and the jury decided with the NFL. So again, the jury decided against Spirit and JetBlue. It decided against the NFL. So now we're seeing they're deciding against the big boys in these things, and I think this is a similar case. So like yeah. So anyhow, basically, and that's it. They're going to contest it. Blah blah blah. It's 2.5 million residential subscribers, 48,000 businesses. Yeah, it could cost each team 450 million in revenue. And by the way, that's about what an NFL team makes. They only make like 500-600 million in revenue a year. I know they're worth all this money, but it's not like a huge business in terms of what they actually make. Like the salary cap, for example, right now is about 250 million roughly, and the players get about 50% of the money. So it's like, do the math. That means each team on average. So they're basically going to lose. Each team is going to lose 1 year worth of revenue for this, right? So and I think what they did in this case too is they ruled a lot more in damages than actually they were worth to kind of teach the NFL a lesson for this. So, so I think Fubo has a very solid case. So they already passed the first hoop. A judge accepted it to go to a preliminary hearing. That will be on August the 7th. Fubo will have their first earnings call right before that. Right now, their earnings are estimated between August 4th to 5th. So it's August 2nd to 6th, so right before that. So you have two potential catalysts here with Fubo, because I think they're going to have good earnings. It's a cheap company, and and they should have solid earnings. So remember, Fubo is a sports streaming network. The second and third quarters, what do you have going on? You had the Copa America and the European Cup. That's why I re-signed up for Fubo, because I also have there's another company called Sling that does it, but Sling didn't have all the games. And I just like to, even if I don't watch all the games, I like to have the games on while I work, especially in terms of the Euros, because, Germany's 6 hours ahead of us. So the games would be on at 9 a.m. and noon, and I could just sit here and work and have the game on while I'm working, right? And even if I had it on mute, I could do these videos, whatever the case. So that's going to be a boost, I think. Actually, they have a deal to carry the Olympics. That's at the end of the month. So that's the third quarter. And of course, the third quarter, September, is the start of football. So I think they're going to have really strong quarters, because the sports they're going to see. And the nice thing is Fubo's always got some sports. You got I don't really watch the Final Four, but you have that. In the first quarter, you had of course, the NFL playoffs were still on in the first quarter. And then in the second quarter, at the end of the second quarter, you've got, like I said, the European Cup. And of course, Premier League keeps going into May, etc. as well. So they're going to have that. And so here's some interesting notes on Fubo. The market cap is just over 400 million. They did about 400 million in revenue last quarter. So they're going to do 1.5 to 1.6 billion in revenue. They're trading at a quarter of revenue. Okay. 17% of the share float is short. So that means, and I think that's like 4 or 5 days worth of trading. So these shorts would have to scramble if it really has a big move. Yeah, and that by this float, that short has basically stayed there. So even when Fubo rallied from about 1 to almost 4, they didn't really cover. So who knows when they're in at, etc. What I find suspicious about the trading is see these reversal days. Fubo each case had superb earnings and then gapped up and then sold off strong. And it's all about this antitrust suit. It's all about that there were people worried about this skinny sports package. But I really believe that, as I've outlined, that Fubo has an excellent case. And we're now seeing these, these juries are going against the big companies, right? They're going for the small guy. So that, and then of course, I really like the Fubo chart. And by the way, so Fubo did have about 400 million in debt. So what they've done with that debt, just so you know, they restructured it. It's a convertible bond. It was due, I think, in 2026. It's now not due till 2029. It only has 3% interest. And by 2029, Fubo says they can become profitable by late next year, early 2026. So if they're profitable, then they'll have no problem paying that debt off, and it's convertible. So that can be convertible into stock. Okay, that is elusive, but at least it means that they don't even have to necessarily pay off the debt. They just got to pay that 3-4% interest until that is converted into stock. So, and then of course everyone knows me. I like these basing patterns. I like them. I call it trapped in a box. So you can see here, Fubo's been trapped in a box since just after that news came out, and about the low 160s is and every time again, I'm suspicious the shorts jump all over this thing. Like you can see again, the last 2 days it tried to get to 160 and it sold off. Now it's 150. So we have to see what's going to happen here. etc. With Fubo. So, but I also have some calls. My calls are right at 150, just so you know, on this, and I picked up a little more just right now on the stock, and I'm hoping that the problem is too is that of course Fubo decides to start rallying right when we're seeing the sell off in the stock market. So I'm sure that doesn't help. But look we're roughly 2 weeks away from the earnings, and then I don't know. That's just a preliminary hearing. So then it would have to go to a jury after that hearing. So we still got a while to go. So I don't know how long that would take, but no one was talking about that class action suit against the NFL or the antitrust suit against the NFL. Then boom, it was 4.8 billion. And I think what happens now is the media's garbage. They don't report on these things. They just assume the big guy's always going to win. And then when the big guy gets smashed in the face, it's like all of a sudden it's some big shock. So I think that's what happened with this. Everyone just thinks, ESPN and Disney are going to do their service. And then all of a sudden, boom, if Fubo wins. Imagine the damages Fubo could get too. I don't know what they're looking at in damages, but imagine they're looking for a few $100 million or 500 million or something. And they do what the NFL does. They get awarded a few billion, they get awarded 4 times what, because that's what the juries do to teach these companies a lesson. That's if they got that that's 5x Fubo's market cap. Imagine what the stock will do. Then they'll have tons of money to really ramp up, their service, et cetera, et cetera. So that's it. Anyhow, so this is my favorite stock at the moment. Even with my feelings, I'm very, very worried about the market. I talked about the market cap, the GDP, et cetera. I would just set a stop here, at the old low 115, something like that, and then see what happens. That's 30 cents. It's roughly 20%. That's about what a stop loss should be. It's a little more than 20%, but yeah, I would just set a stop there and that's it. And let's see what happens after the next 2 days. Like I find it disappointing. The rallies have kind of faded the last 2 days, but it's not surprising. I really think there's something fishy with the shorts. Why are you 17% short a $1 stock? It makes no sense. It's almost like this is intentionally keeping Fubo down because it hurts their ability to finance the company, etc. So the big boys can win. I don't know, man. I guess I have gotten more conspiratorial in my old age or something, or my older age as I've gotten older. So anyhow, that's basically it. We're seeing the market down a lot again today. Nvidia, I think it was up actually a little bit. We'll see. Yeah, it's actually up, so it's still kind of the leader here, but we're seeing the market down again today. And again, one thing, what will Fubo do if finally, if say the NASDAQ is down quite a bit, and while I think we could be starting something more major in a correction or have something more major happen this summer and fall, there is going to be a bounce at some point. You can see the NASDAQ has gone straight from 27,000 or NASDAQ 100, 700. So that's almost a 5% move, basically in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trading days. So basically a week. So maybe we see some kind of bounce here and that could help Fubo. But again, Fubo's not really trading with the market. You know, the stock has gone from $50 to $1 while the NASDAQ has gone crazy. So it's its own entity at this point. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this. And so this is, this kind of thing we do. Like I own disclosure, I own calls, I own the stock. This is the kind of thing I do here with the markets. And and I think like if Fubo can kind of again break that kind of 160 to 165 level, then really probably the 200-day moving average and this kind of jump here, like 2 to 220 would be kind of the next resistance level, and then and then last year's highs. Let's get a little longer term chart of Fubo so we can see this. Last year's highs, which is what we can see is about $3, $4. That would be the next. And if you can break this, then you're talking the highs of 2022, which is about 5, etc. And by the way, too, just with the basic valuation metric, Fubo is growing at around 20% a year. And like I said, if they are going to become profitable and you can grow at 20% a year on the top end, I think a company like that should be trading at 2 to 3 times revenues. They're trading at a quarter times revenues. So let's go to the bottom end of that. Let's say they can trade at 2 times revenues. You're talking like, again, 1.5 billion, $3 billion market cap. That's 7x. Like they should be trading at $8 a share if they can become profitable. The issue is they were growing the top end and losing a lot of money for a long time, but their losses are getting smaller and smaller. And like I said, I expect that with the combination in the second, third quarter of the Copa America, the Euros, the Olympics, Fubo is going to have a really strong. And of course, NFL starts in September. So and Premier League starts again in August as well. So they should have a really, really, really strong, especially second quarter. Because, we all know too in North America, because Fubo is mostly a North American service. We know that in North America, soccer is getting bigger all the time. Of course, the Copa America was in America. So I think that's going to help as well, And as we saw with all the crazed Latinos, and I mean soccer crazed Latinos that are in, you saw them storm the stadium. So some of them are a little crazed too. The stadium in Miami, the Colombians. But with all the soccer fans from Latin America that now live in the United States, you have to know that Fubo's just going to become more popular all the time for that. Especially, remember the World Cup too. That's another thing will help Fubo in 2 years. Again, the World Cup is in America. So I thought, okay, I'll leave it at that. And I hope you enjoyed this. And everybody take care. And we'll talk to you later.